Hey, it's me, Jonathan, your finance brother, and this is an introductory crash course for all the best practices in Excel. This will be really helpful to learn how you should format your file, how you should save it, all the different shortcuts and functions that you can use. This will basically allow you to be faster and more accurate within Excel. There's a bit of a hyperbolic kind of thing within finance where people try to say you should never use your mouse or you should use your keyboard for everything. I would say that generally the more you can use your keyboard, the better. But once you get to a point where you're at like a 75-25 split where you're using the keyboard 75% of the time, you're being pretty efficient at that point. So first things first, let's talk through kind of how you should format things. This is really important if you have a complicated file so you can check your work, but also if someone else on your team wants to look at your file, they can understand what you're doing within the file. So I'll break it down to three categories. The first one is the color, second one is the meaning, and then I'll give you guys an example. So the very first, I spelled that wrong. The very first color is blue, and that represents a hard-coded value. It's literally you just type in a value into a cell, and that is what it is. I will color this blue just to make sure that it matches, and I will show you guys the shortcut that I'm using to get to this really quickly in a second. But this is an example of blue, means hard code. Example is just literally type it in. The next one is black. This is a formula, and it basically just means I'm using a formula in this cell. So if I want to multiply cell D3 by 2, that's a formula, and it's already formatted correctly. The next one is a green font. That means a link to another, tab. And that basically means if I want to do a formula where I had another tab, so let's say I have this value, I want to do 2 times the value on this random tab that I arbitrarily set up, and I get it here, I would make this one green. So again, use my little shortcut. I'll use another one here where I paste the format. And then, of course, you can't see this, so I'll just widen this so you can read what's in the section here. Again, I'll go through these in a second, but this is an example of some of the shortcuts you can use to make it a little bit easier to use Excel. The next one is purple. Some people use red. It basically just is highlighting something that's unusual. So I don't know, like this is not an unusual formula. Let's say it was unusual to just randomly do that. You would want to color this one purple. And this is another way you can do it. You can hit Control-1 and you can actually change the font color within here to what you want. And even within this menu, you can navigate around using like the shortcuts. Again, like I said, 75-25. I don't use my keyboard for stuff like this. Some people do. You're not really that much more efficient if you're using your keyboard here, but if you want to, be my guest. Cool. So this is kind of the main formatting convention. Blue, black, green, purple, or red for most people. And let's say you want to save this. I've saved the file. You can either go, like a lot of people go into File, Save, Save As, all these things. What you can do is either hit Control-S, that's just saving the file right here. Like you can see that blue circle popping up every time. Every time I hit Control-S, it's saving. Or I could hit F12. Oops, I don't have my FN key selected. I'm on a laptop, so I don't have all my normal keyboard set up because I'm at home for the holidays. But if I hit F12 here, it pulls this up, and this is what's called a version naming convention. So you'll see I have tutorial file V1 here. If I wanted to make a change to that, I would hit V2. Let's say that I wanted to, I don't know, change the color of this cell to make it gray. Now I want to save this just so someone else knows that I made it gray and I know that that's what the change was. I make it V3. And you can see here as you name it V1, V2, V3, it helps you go back and kind of track your changes over time within the file. So I'll go through a couple of really, really good shortcuts that I use within Excel, and then I'll go through a couple of really simple functions. So one shortcut is Control-C, Control-V, I'm sure you guys are aware of, but I'm sure you guys maybe aren't aware of Control-C, Control-Alt-V. Yeah, I have it memorized. I don't even know how to do it. That brings up that menu, but I'll show in a second. So let's just say that I want to make this like a really crazy color. Like I have this like weird blue with yellow formatting. If I do Control-C here, I can Control-Alt-V into this cell, and it'll basically bring up a paste special menu. And this is really helpful for when you're first learning how to do paste special, because it will allow you to determine what you want to do. Do I want to paste formulas? Do I want to paste values? Do I want to paste formats? So let's say that I want to paste formats here, right? Like I would just select the A right here and hit OK. And now this cell is formatted. So you see right here, I have blue text, like when I actually typed it in. So you do Control-C, Control-Alt-V, and then I would do formats, which is T. Another one would be, it's a great question. What is another one, Jonathan? Another really useful one is changing column widths and heights. But before I go any further, what I should tell you about is how to actually use the shortcut menu. This will be really helpful when you're first learning, because if you don't know a shortcut to start with, then you can actually just teach it to yourself. So if you hit Alt, this is like kind of where you can see this menu up at the top of all the different shortcuts that Excel offers. And a lot of them will be located in Home, which is H. And so you can see here, when I have this menu up, if I wanted to do something, if I want to change the font color, it would be Alt H FC, or it would be, if I want to change the fill of the actual cell, it would be Alt H H, or if I wanted to put a border around it, it would be Alt HB, and then I could select what border I want. Do I want a top border, a bottom border, left border, right border? So let's say I want one on the top, boom, type it in, it's like white, so you can, or black I guess, but you can change it. So like let's say we wanted to really pop, we can make it red, and you can like show it here. Well, again, like I'm using my mouse here, or I'm using the trackpad on the keyboard, but you can use a variety of these things. Like let's say I want to take that red outline and put it over here. I can do Control Alt VT, just paste special, and now that outline is on this cell as well. One thing you will notice that just happened here, which is a really, really great example. When I zoom in here, this cell has red borders all around it, but this cell does not. Good luck figuring it out. It's like something that Excel does. I do not know why. Borders are one of the hardest things to actually format correctly within Excel. Like you'll literally have to go in here and like put a right border onto that cell just to make it fit here. I don't know why it does that. In all my years in finance and in corporate America, I still haven't figured it out. If someone knows the answer to that, feel free to comment it. Okay, so now that we've done that, I want to talk about a couple of different functions that are super helpful. But again, before I jump to that, the shortcuts, Alt H, you're here. This is your menu of where most of your shortcuts will be. So let's say I have like a bunch of people. I have like Bob, I have Nancy, I have Billy, and I have Joe. And I don't know, like this is like just a value associated with them. 1, 2, 3, 4. And imagine this list was not 4 people, but it was 4 million people. And I wanted to, and there was, and assuming they were all unique names, just for the purposes of this, I wanted to know what value Bob had associated with him. So like, let's say Bob was row like 4 million or 3,989,000, blah, blah, blah. Like you would never find Bob in that. So what you can do is have Bob here. You can do index and select the values that you want to return. Another great option here is F4 is how you lock cells. So you see these dollar signs on this formula. Dollar sign basically means that either your column or your row is locked. So in this scenario, both my columns and my rows are locked. In this one, just my rows are locked. In this one, just my columns are locked. Nothing's locked. All of them are locked. So I want to return that value, and I want to match it to Bob. I want to know what Bob is doing, and I want to look it up in this column. So again, I'll lock that, and this is just a formatting thing, comma 00, close parentheses, and you'll see that the value for Bob is 1. And the great thing about this is, and this is another formula, you hit F2, this allows you to audit it. So you hit F2, it pulls up your format, you can hit escape, you'll close out of it. F2, open formula, escape, close out. Let's say I change the value of Bob to 2, it will return 2, it will return 3, it will return 17, it will return 124. But the important thing to note here is to make sure that there are unique values in this list. So let's say I have Bob down here, or let's say, well, I only selected these cells. So let's say instead of Joe, there was 2 Bobs, and this Bob is 4, or this Bob is 5. You notice how this value is not changing, right? It selects the first value in what you're doing. So a way that is really helpful, and this is, I'm using Alt-IC here to insert columns. It also works with Shift Space. Alt-IR is how you insert rows. But let's say that like I want to return all the unique values in the cells. A great way to do this is to do equals unique, come over here, select all these. And also, by the way, when I'm doing that, I'm using Control arrow and Control Shift arrow to move to the next cell and then highlight all the cells that have values in it, enter. And now this returns all the unique values in that list. So notice there are 2 Bobs, 1 Nancy, 1 Billy, but here it shows Bob, Nancy, Billy, because these are the equals unique ones. I'll take that, Control C, Control Alt V, and I will paste as values. A great way also to audit your work, which is really, really helpful, is Control tilde. And for those of you who like don't know what a tilde is, it's basically in the top left, it's the little squiggly thing. If you Control tilde, it will actually change your entire workbook to be formulas, so you can audit your formulas this way. So you can see what's a value, what's a formula, all those things. So I change it back to Control tilde, it's back to the values. And let's say I want to, this was the number of purchases that like Bob, Nancy, Billy, and Bob made across a number of transactions. I wanted to see the number of purchases that they made in aggregate. So clearly Bob here has made 129, Nancy has made 2, and Billy has made 3. If I do equals sum ifs, I can basically select the range that I want to sum. I can select my criteria range, which is the names, and then I can select the criteria, which is the name of the person. And you can see now, Control Alt V formulas, that it returns the summation of all of these values. So that's Bob, that's Nancy, and that's Billy. So that's also really, really super helpful. And now I've made a bunch of changes, and again, instead of just hitting File Save, I'm gonna hit F12, and I'm gonna version this up to version 4. That way I can track it. Again, this was like a little bit of everything. It shows a little bit of shortcuts. It shows a little bit of functions. It shows a little bit of format and saving and naming convention. I'm probably going to make this like a more of a series because there's just so much depth in terms of what you can go into within Excel. But if you guys find this sort of thing helpful, I highly recommend you follow my page, and I'll go through a lot more formulas, a lot more functions, a lot more functionality within Excel in a way that's hopefully super helpful to you guys.